Group E looks simple at first. Germany first, Ecuador second, Côte d'Ivoire third, Curaçao fourth. But this group is much more dangerous than it looks. Because Germany are the favorites, yes, but Ecuador are one of the hardest teams in the world to break down. Côte d'Ivoire just showed that they can hurt elite teams in transition. And Curaçao may be the underdog, but they are also one of the best stories of the entire World Cup. So today, I'm going to predict every single match in Group E, update the table as the games develop, and show you why one game could decide everything. Côte d'Ivoire versus Ecuador. If Ecuador survives that match, they probably finish second. If Côte d'Ivoire win it, the whole group changes. Group E is Germany, Ecuador, Côte d'Ivoire, Curaçao. Germany are the clear favorites. They have Florian Wirtz, Jamal Musiala, Kai Havertz, Leroy Sané, Joshua Kimmich, Antonio Rüdiger. And under Julian Nagelsmann, they have a very high tactical ceiling. But Germany are not completely risk-free. They are still trying to rebuild their reputation after the group stage exit in 2018 and 2022. And even if the attacking talent is obvious, there are still questions about defensive transitions and consistency. Ecuador are the most solid team behind Germany. Their attack is not always explosive, but defensively they are extremely difficult to break down. They conceded only 5 goals in 18 South American qualifiers. That is unbelievable. They have Moises Caicedo protecting the midfield. They have Piero Hincapié, William Pacho, Pervis Estupiñán and Joel Ordóñez. And they have Enner Valencia as the experienced reference up front. Côte d'Ivoire are the dangerous wild card. They have power, speed, transitions. Franck Kessié, Amad Diallo, Gela Doué, Simon Adingra, Sébastien Haller. And after beating France 2-1 in a warm-up match, nobody should treat them as just a physical team. They can hurt elite opposition. And then there is Curaçao. Curaçao are the emotional story of the group. First World Cup, smallest nation ever to reach the tournament. Dick Advocat back in charge. Players like Eloy Room, Leandro Bacuna, Juninho Bacuna, Tahith Chong and Rangelo Janga. But this is a brutal draw. Germany's technique, Ecuador's structure, Côte d'Ivoire athleticism. Every matchup is difficult, so my prediction is simple. Germany should win the group. Curaçao are likely fourth, but second place, that is the fight, and it starts immediately. The first big match in this group is Côte d'Ivoire versus Ecuador. And for me, this is the key game of Group E. Not Germany's opener, this one, because Germany are expected to beat Curaçao. But Côte d'Ivoire versus Ecuador decides the direction of the race for second place. Côte d'Ivoire want the game to open up. They want transitions, they want wide attacks, they want physical duels. They want to attack space before Ecuador can settle into their defensive block. Ecuador want the opposite. They want control, compactness, midfield duels, low-risk possession, a slow game, a game where Moises Caicedo can kill transitions before they start. This is a clash between two very different types of danger. Côte d'Ivoire can hurt you quickly. Ecuador can suffocate you slowly. And that is why I do not see a clear winner. Côte d'Ivoire have the athletic power to score, maybe through Amad Diallo, maybe through Gela Doué, maybe from a transition where Ecuador lose the ball and cannot recover quickly enough. But Ecuador are too organized to collapse. They are built for this kind of tournament match. They can suffer, they can defend, they can wait, and they can find one goal through Valencia, a set piece or a second ball. My prediction, Côte d'Ivoire 1, Ecuador 1. And this draw favors Ecuador slightly. Because Ecuador are more likely to beat Curaçao and more likely to frustrate Germany later. And after this match, both teams have 1 point, but Côte d'Ivoire may feel like they missed a chance. The second match is Germany versus Curaçao. And this is the biggest quality gap in the group. Curaçao's mission is clear. Stay compact. Survive the first 20 minutes. Do not concede early. Make Germany frustrated. Look for set pieces and counterattacks. But the problem is Germany's number of creators. Wirtz can receive between the lines. Musiala can dribble through pressure. Kimmich can control the rhythm. Havertz can move between midfield and attack. Sané can attack space. And Germany should have too many ways to create chances. Curaçao may defend bravely. They may make it difficult early. And emotionally, this is a huge moment for them. But over 90 minutes, the gap in squad depth and technical quality should show. My prediction, Germany 3, Curaçao 0. Germany starts with 3 points. Curaçao lose, but their tournament is not really judged on this match. Their realistic target is to make one of the next games uncomfortable. After match 1, the table looks like this. Germany are in control. Ecuador and Côte d'Ivoire are tied. Curaçao are already under pressure. Now we get Germany versus Côte d'Ivoire. And this may be Germany's most dangerous stylistic game. Because Germany like to control the ball. They like to push players forward. They like to create overloads. But Côte d'Ivoire have the speed and power to punish them if they lose the ball in bad areas. This is the danger point for Germany. Defensive transitions. If Germany's fullbacks push high, if the midfield spacing is not perfect, if Côte d'Ivoire win the ball and attack quickly, this can become a very uncomfortable match. Côte d'Ivoire have the players to run into space, they have the physical power to win duels, and after beating France in a warm-up match, they will not be afraid of a big European opponent. So I do think Côte d'Ivoire score. Maybe from a counter, maybe from a wide attack, maybe from one moment where Germany gets stretched. But Germany still have more quality, and over 90 minutes, their attacking midfield should create enough chances. Wirtz and Musiala are exactly the kind of players who can break a game open when the opponent is defending deep but ready to counter. My prediction, Germany 2, Côte d'Ivoire 1. Germany moves to 6 points. They are almost qualified. Côte d'Ivoire stay on 1 point, and suddenly the pressure on them becomes huge. The next match is Ecuador versus Curaçao. And for Ecuador, this is not about beauty, it is about control. If Ecuador beat Curaçao, they move to 4 points. And 4 points already puts them in a strong position. If they draw, the whole group becomes dangerous. So Ecuador must be professional. This is the kind of match where Ecuador's defensive strength gives them a very high floor. They should not give Curaçao many chances. Caicedo should control the midfield. Pacho and Hincapié should dominate defensive duels. Estupinian should give width. And eventually, Ecuador should find the goals. Maybe not with spectacular attacking football, but with pressure, set pieces, second balls, and better individual quality. Curaçao's best chance is to keep the game 0-0 as long as possible. If Ecuador get nervous, Curaçao can start to believe. But I think Ecuador are too stable. My prediction, Ecuador 2, Curaçao 0. After match day 2, the table looks like this. Now Germany are basically through. Ecuador are in a very strong position. Côte d'Ivoire are in trouble, and Curaçao are almost eliminated. But Côte d'Ivoire still have Curaçao to play, and Ecuador still have Germany, so the final match day still matters. Final match day. The first match is Curaçao versus Côte d'Ivoire. For Côte d'Ivoire, this is a must-win. 1 point after 2 matches is not enough. They need 3 points. They need to reach 4. And with 4 points, they will have a very strong chance to advance as one of the best third-placed teams. For Curaçao, this may be their best chance to make history. A draw will be historic. A win will be unbelievable. So Curaçao will fight. They will defend. They will try to frustrate Côte d'Ivoire. And if Côte d'Ivoire get impatient, this game could become tricky. But the physical matchup is difficult. Côte d'Ivoire should dominate second balls. They should have more speed in wide areas. They should have more strength in the box. And if they score first, Curaçao will have to open up. That is when Côte d'Ivoire can become very dangerous. My prediction, Curaçao 0, Côte d'Ivoire 2. Côte d'Ivoire moved to 4 points. Curaçao finished with 0. And now Côte d'Ivoire have done their job. But whether they finish second or third depends on Ecuador against Germany. The final match is Ecuador versus Germany. And this is where the group becomes interesting. Germany have 6 points. They are already basically qualified. Ecuador have 4 points. A draw puts Ecuador on 5 and almost certainly gives them second place. A loss keeps them on 4. And then goal difference with Côte d'Ivoire becomes important. So Ecuador's mission is clear. Do not lose. And Ecuador are one of the best teams in this tournament at exactly that. They can defend deep. They can keep compact distances. They can slow the game down. They can make Germany pass sideways. They can make the match frustrating. Germany have more talent, no question. But if Germany are already qualified, they may rotate slightly. They may not need to force the game. And Ecuador will treat this like a knockout match. This is why I do not predict a Germany win here. Not because Ecuador are better, but because Ecuador are built to make this exact kind of match difficult. Low tempo, few chances, midfield duels, defensive concentration. Germany probably create more, but Ecuador find a way to survive. My prediction, Ecuador 1, Germany 1. And that result sends Germany through first and Ecuador through second. So with my predicted results, the final table becomes like this. So my final prediction is Germany first, Ecuador second, Côte d'Ivoire third, Curaçao fourth. Germany qualified directly, Ecuador qualified directly. Côte d'Ivoire finished third, but with 4 points, they have a strong chance to reach the round of 32. Curaçao are eliminated, but their World Cup debut is still historic. The key match is Côte d'Ivoire versus Ecuador. That match decides the whole structure of the group. If Ecuador win, they probably finish second comfortably. If Côte d'Ivoire win, they may become favorites for second. But if it is a draw, like I predict, then Ecuador benefit more. Why? Because Ecuador are more likely to get a result against Germany. They are more stable defensively. They are less likely to collapse. And their match against Curaçao looks more controllable. For Côte d'Ivoire, the draw means they probably need to beat Curaçao and hope Ecuador lose to Germany. So a draw is not equal emotionally. It is 1 point for both teams, but strategically, it helps Ecuador. Now let's talk about the upset scenarios. Upset scenario number 1. Côte d'Ivoire beat Ecuador. If Côte d'Ivoire wins that opening match, the group changes completely. They would probably reach 4 points just by beating Curaçao. And then Ecuador will need something against Germany, or they might fall to third. Upset scenario number 2. Curaçao still a draw. If Curaçao take even 1 point from Ecuador or Côte d'Ivoire, it could destroy someone's qualification path. Curaçao probably do not need to win a match to change the group. One draw could be enough to damage someone. Upset scenario number 3. Germany lose control defensively. Germany should win the group, but if their defensive transitions are messy against Côte d'Ivoire, or if Ecuador frustrates them in the final match, they may not finish with 9 points. Germany are the best team here, but this is not a group where they can sleepwalk. So my final group E prediction is Germany first, Ecuador second, Côte d'Ivoire third, Curaçao fourth. Germany are the safest pick to win the group. Ecuador are the safest pick for second because of their defensive structure. Côte d'Ivoire are the danger team, and I think 4 points may be enough for them to survive as one of the best third-place teams. Curaçao are the beautiful story, but the draw is extremely difficult. But the whole group depends on one game, Côte d'Ivoire versus Ecuador. If Ecuador survive that match, they probably finish second. If Côte d'Ivoire win it, everything changes. Now I want your prediction. Who finishes second, Ecuador or Côte d'Ivoire? And can Curaçao steal a historic point? Write your full Group E table in the comments.